So here's the situation at the end of the ninth turn. 3 more turns to go. The game will end on May 1951. We have 39th parallel across here. Sol is here, Incheon is here. And you can see the United Nations are hanging on. It will be for dear life. Now, it's not all fun and games for the North Koreans and the Communist Chinese, because they have a depot here. They really would like a depot here. And so their supply is limited crossing the river here. They do have a road around here which they got last turn. That's going to facilitate it. Yeah, scrub that. I've just realised now that they've taken the road across here, they'll be able to supply all of these at least in extended supply, or the secondary supply chain. But the UN air interdiction is still successful enough that they're on accelerated commitment. They may retain that the next turn. The situation is really vital. Essentially, there's 3 game turns left, and the UN have to hold on to what they've got. So they cannot allow any penetration into Seoul. If they do, and they don't hold it at the end of any one turn, essentially they would have lost the game as it is. If they carry on at their current rate, they're just going to manage a draw with 162 victory points. That's the bottom end of the draw. So if they get... Oh no, sorry, it goes away. So if they've got 100, essentially they're getting 22 victory points a turn, minus 10 now, because global tension's gone up too. If that rises again, they're done for. It will be... unless it's in May, they could just pip a draw. But it's tough. Essentially, that they can afford to bring their line back to here. So 3 hexes in 3 months at certain points, or 4 or 5 hexes and other points. So essentially along here they can only fall back 1 hex a month, however many miles that is in the game scale. So the game has devolved to this now. It's kind of an operational slogging match. The grand strategy has, or the strategic part of it is really out of the window now. We have these such tight lines. There's no hope of surprise invasions up the coast there. Those points all fully garrisoned. In fact, they did manage... well, they went for... down here, they invaded this with a full division. They only managed to inflict 2 steps of losses on the regiment there. They needed all 3. They didn't take it. They had to withdraw without losses, but not without success. And of course, the North Koreans reinforced. So that's it. There's just a few more units to reconstitute. If any they lose in this next turn, as the UN, they will reconstitute some back in May. So essentially they're going to get a few more units each turn, maybe enough just to hold off until May. But it would gain them, in terms of the game, a draw. The UN would gain a draw, but it would be a sorry state of affairs. They would leave their military forces in. So what I mean is that if if the conflict carried on beyond the end of the game, at this point, I think the UN, they would need further commitment, extra forces intervening. They wouldn't be able to hold on with what they have. So they almost made it, and I mean there is the possibility that the North Koreans and Chinese will enable a breakthrough, and then they can squeak a tactical victory. So that's it really. There's I don't know. It's just I'm just going to play out the last 3 turns. It's as quickly as I can. It's just going to be a slogging match, and without substantial armor assets. 1, 2. They've got 3, 4 full armor assets. So if they organise, if they take a month to organise, the North Koreans may be able to launch a decisive final thrust. Thing is, the South, the UN, they have 3 divisions with heavy armoured assets, and they're holding them back. Well, this one's on the front line, but the other 2, they're holding back for counterattacks, because the armoured assets are not much help. Some help on defence against other armoured assets. But the idea being that if there is a North Korean breakthrough, that would be blunted by counterattacks from these divisions. So I think that's my challenge now, is going to be, as the UN, just to make sure the line can fall back and not disintegrate, while for the North Koreans to organise a final thrust on Seoul. I think that's just going to come down to if they are fortunate in 1 or 2 decisive combats against these divisions. So we shall have to see. It'll be interesting to see how it falls. It's a shame that the UN don't have a chance of victory now, but maybe they can at least claim a draw.